Prayers of the prey have no effect on the hunter.
Prayers of the prey have no effect on the hunter. And simply because it sounds cryptic, you said it's deep. Well, that's my interpretation of
Actually, the first steps to something being deep, it has to be cryptic. Or should we say, the first steps to something being cryptic, it must be deep.
Okay. You guys are having a moment. It's understood.
Have you come around to understanding that proverb? Because I'm not getting it.
That's the beauty of Proverbs. There are some you get, there are some you don't. There are some you actually don't get at all.
You'll have the aha moment at about 3 p.m. and then you'll send me a message and say, "Ndu, I got the
but
proverb."
no. With Eric, I think you really are misjudging Eric here. He might actually get this one next year.
Ouch.
Nicholas Siwatom is the Chief Talent Officer at the Standard Group PLC. He joins us now in the studio. Nicholas, good morning.
Good morning.
Now, unasikia how the kind of things that my colleagues take me through. Huh? This is what I go through on a daily basis.
Wow.
Yeah? So when I come to you and I say, I require some hardship allowance, you can clearly see the hardship.
I can see. Thank you for having me this morning.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Before we get into the conversation, do you get that proverb?
I was just imagining if you are the prey, you just pray that tomorrow morning I'm not breakfast, but you will still be breakfast.
Right?
No, you may not. Your prayer may be answered.
Well, depending
Not
on
for
what the
that
prayer
hunter.
is. Please let me go easy.
I do not want to be breakfast tomorrow.
But if I must, let them swallow me whole and not bite.
Don't give God bats. Just tell him.
The prayer actually comes with conditions, no? Yes, no.
You know, the God that most people believe in is a God you can actually have a discussion with. So, if this particular animal is praying, then clearly he's praying to the animal God, and he can hope that his prayer is directed towards a God who actually allows debate. Yes.
The outcome of that prayer has a direct effect on the hunter. Because either God answers the prayer that you will not be breakfast, so hunter does not get breakfast, or if it is thy will, dear Lord, then let them swallow me whole, then it also has an effect on the hunter.
But Eric, you keep insisting that that is the only prayer. And I suggested perhaps the prayer is praying, God,
You just make me a
just
hunter.
reverse our roles so that I can be the hunter for just one day.
Jobs.standardmedia.co.ke is an online portal by the Standard Group where very many jobs are listed, and we've been encouraging you to log on to the portal, see the jobs that have been listed, find the job that is relevant to you, apply. If you don't find any job that's relevant to you, then you can also subscribe for these news alerts. You'll be receiving alerts on your SMS or your email whenever a job that's relevant to you is posted as well. Now, Nicholas is here to tell us more about this particular portal. So there's a lot that people will ask. So, but why did Standard Group decide to become like a jobs portal? Yeah.
Okay, that's an interesting question because we've been carrying out some career fairs as Standard Media. We did some in Nairobi, KICC last year. No, the other year. We've done in Nakuru this year. And there's one coming up this May. And through these career fairs, we realized that, the youth, mainly between the age of 18 and 35, do not know where to find these jobs. So they go to the website and just, type and keep typing a certain type of job, and it's really difficult for them to identify where to find these jobs. And Standard Jobs, therefore, was created. It's a website where we list not less than 150 jobs on a daily basis. And the jobs listed are specific because we want to target the fresh graduates, people who have finished their diploma, certificates, university degrees. So these are ages between 18 and 25, 30. We also target, middle cadre, those people who have just gotten jobs and want, a career change, 2 years, 3 years experience. So mainly people around 35 and below. And those are the jobs that we try to list, and we list them for free. And therefore, a job seeker at this age at this age group is able to, come to their website, scan through the jobs that are listed, And if they don't see a job that is relevant at that time, they can subscribe. And the beauty of it is you will get an alert for a job that is relevant to the area that you want, so that you don't have to be checking every day, but you can check, once a week or something like that. Yeah, but you get the alert. Yeah.
So when this idea was mooted, like you've explained, is because you went round and you identified the need.
Yes.
This is what people are going through, looking for jobs. They don't know where to start, especially those who are just new entrants into the job market. They don't know where to start. Do they then get to know how to apply? Because if you actually don't even know where to start from in searching for a job, it tells you that even when it comes to finding a job, teacher, McKinney, Cambridge curriculum, or debt recovery manager, or cash and trade procurement analyst 1, who is being looked for by Citigroup, it's a permanent job. So the application process, how does one get to know this is the best way to actually present myself so I can be shortlisted for this job?
Yeah, on the website, that's Standard Jobs, we also have a link where we provide career tips. And these career tips are very unique and very specific to these young people who have not applied for jobs before. They have had a CV, they have just copied somebody else's CV, they've been given a structure and they're just filling it there, and they're using the same CV to apply for all type of jobs that they find. And so we give them career tips, various types of career tips. One, how to write an application letter, how to draft a CV, how to go for an interview, how to answer certain type of questions that are common in an interview, just those kind of tips. That's what we provide on that as well. Okay. So you can learn a lot apart from just looking at the jobs that are listed. You can also learn something from the career tips. And we upload 2 to 3 articles on a weekly basis. And also having the standard newspaper, we also get articles that are also appearing on the standard newspaper that are related to jobs that guide or advise. Could be jobs around how to start an entrepreneurship job, business, different type of careers, whether personal or when you're applying, we now put on that website. So you can be able to get very rich content
from that.
So
it's clearly something, Nicholas, that is appealing to people in terms of, yes, offering jobs that are available that you can apply for, and then also offering information that you can then use. So it seems like an age-old question. A lot of people would apply and they say, okay, well, I never get picked, or I never get selected, I never get called for an interview. By golly, what am I doing wrong? So you've seen 1,000 people in a very short period of time come through the doors. What is the one thing that you would say people need to put on their CV that grabs your attention?
Now, the problem is having a generic CV. That's problem number one. Just having a generic CV which you just send to every job that you see, whether it's a procurement job, an accounting job, or because most of the fresh graduates, they're actually versatile. They can work in a bank, they can work as a customer service, they can work in different roles. So you just use the same CV and just send
it through.
Yeah. And when the recruiter, for example, if I'm the recruiter and I'm looking at it, I will not be able to, it will not be appealing to me because I have a job profile which I am filling. So I look at the job profile and check what does this job profile require, and can I see it on your CV? Yeah. So if I don't see it, I put it aside, because if the minimum requirement, for example, is a degree, and all of you have degrees, you are 100. All of you have those degrees, basic degree. So I'm looking for something different that will enable me to shortlist you. So can I see that on your CV or in your application letter? And I will not see it if you did not apply it with purpose. Because if you apply with purpose, it means you're looking at the job you're applying for, you're checking what organization is this, is it an NGO, is it a financial institution, is it a service industry, what are their culture, are they strong in customer service, what will I be required to do in this job? And you try to demonstrate that in your CV or in your application letter, that you actually have those skill sets and you have applied them somewhere. Yeah. So you have to really tailor-made your CV. So we recommend that have your CV reviewed by a professional, somebody who really understands something about recruitment, just to give you tips on, this is the job you're applying. Make sure that you talk about this, and it has to be at least areas you have experienced. Yeah. And you see, for fresh graduates, they may not have, the kind of experience other people will be looking for. And employers don't look for that serious experience. They're just looking for any opportunity that you have had. You volunteered, you have engaged yourself in campus or during your assignments, during your internships, attachments. You have to pick some things that you are able to do that you can relate to this job that you are applying. So then you stand out. Yeah, that's the first thing, because your CV and application is the first person that appears at the recruiter's desk. Yeah, before you come, before you are invited for the interview. So it must represent you well. If it doesn't, then you will miss that opportunity.
Sure.
Yeah.
So,
please go ahead.
Okay, so then you show up, Nicholas, and this individual shows up for the interview. You've seen something on the CV that clearly is of interest.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things that you're looking for this person to say, or that will convince you or convince any recruiter that, okay, this person is the man or the woman for the job?
Yeah. Now, you will find like you are interviewing 10 people for one job position or 5 people for one position, and it's competitive. That's number one. So if you're applying a job in a certain organization, do you understand that organization? Have you had any interest in researching around that organization? If we ask you, do you know our values? What business are we in, for example? Do you understand? If you can expound that, then you stand a better chance. Some people will go to an interview and they don't even know what that organization is all about.
No clue who this is.
No clue, completely. And you get surprised. So why did you apply to come to work for us? Yes. And
learn on the job.
You have to understand our culture. If we are customer-centric, you have to really be passionate in terms of giving examples that show that you are somebody who is a customer-centric person. You get concerned about the customer. Yeah. If we are innovative, you must show that you are innovative in the way you have been, and you want an opportunity to be given to you. And the key thing is, what people don't do is, they say past performance is a good predictor for future performance. So you have to show me through an example, because we will ask you, tell me a time when you have been innovative at whatever you have done, in college or when you are in your internship, because you will have given me an experience that I went to internship in this place and this place. So give me a time when you are innovative during those 3 months you worked there. Tell me what you did, what was the task, what was the outcome that came out of what you did. It's a problem that you identified. Then, through that, you're trying to explain to me, and I'm trying to now see, wow, I think this person can demonstrate that he can be. So I rank you and rate you. And another person comes and I ask a similar question, and he gives me his own
answer.
Example. Now, some people don't think through such things, because they have not looked at the skills that are required in the job. Because I'll ask you questions that are related to the skills. If I say communication skills, or customer service, or problem solving, or analytical skills, you have to ask yourself, I always recommend that, have a portfolio if you're a job seeker. It's a serious job to look for a job. So have a portfolio of your examples of several skills that you can give 2, 3. Then now you tailor to that organization. And if you give 2, 3, then you can be able to demonstrate. Because you have the basic minimum requirement to do that job if you meet the requirement.
You have the basic minimum academic requirement.
Exactly.
An interview, the way you're presenting, is like an exam. And the nature of exams, if you were to prefer to provide an exam, you are to prepare your students. Now, with this in mind, has Standard Media considered perhaps partnering with training institutions, whether it's tertiary, whether it's higher, to simply inculcate this very thing we're discussing in their students? Whether it is, and not just when you're about to graduate, but maybe from year 1, year 2, year 3, because the interview processes that we subject these young people or these individuals to is actually unfair. it's completely unfair. You are asking them to be able to manage a process that they are completely clueless about. So when they prove to be clueless, it is appropriate that they are clueless, because there is nothing that had prepared them for it. Remember, our education system prepares you to pass exams.
Exactly.
Okay, and they pass that exam. Let me give you a case in point.
Yes.
When you study to be a teacher, for 3 years, I studied to be a teacher.
Yes.
Okay, they will teach you. There are psychology units, year 1, year 2, year 3. They teach you. To year 2 and 3, they will teach you statistics, because they know at some point you're going to need to assess these students. Okay, and I think they teach it for 2 years because they figure out most people will not get it. I was one of the people who didn't get it first. I got it towards the end of my stay in the university for the undergraduate work. But the point I'm making is this. If you look at any discipline that deals with people, whether it is teaching, whether it is medicine, whether it is journalism, I'm giving those 2 examples. There are others.
Yeah.
Ought it not be mandatory that one of the courses that they are taught is psychology, so that even as you interact with people, you have an idea? Now, in that same vein, if you are teaching people to go out into the world and do whatever it is they're going to do, they're going to come into contact with people. And the first contact they will have with the people is a CV
Yes.
when they're looking for a job.
Exactly.
Should they also not be prepared for that particular exam called an interview?
Yes.
That is my question.
You're very right. And in universities that are really leading, they have a career department
Yes.
that takes students through that session. So you have a career master at the university, and then before students go for their attachments and internship, they invite professionals to come and talk to the students, because now, depending to which profession it is, could be marketing, could be whatever. So they invite professionals of that field to come and give students, talks from like the 3rd year. That happens quite regularly nowadays. So during these talks, this is the time when the students are advised on how to, reach out when they walk out to the job markets, and what expectations is there, because the people who are coming are professionals either in marketing or accountants or, those various areas.
Mr. Siwatom,
Yeah.
they are not trained educators or teachers. They are giving motivational talks.
Yes.
And it is useful, and I agree. But I am saying it needs to be taught.
Yes.
I
As a
see
subject.
It has to be taught so that it's inculcated.
Exactly.
When students are doing an exam, whether it's standard 8 or from 4, something similar happens. Professionals are called in to give motivational talks. They are useful because people pick up things that more or less rejig their mind, and they figure, maybe this is what I want to do. It is useful. But it would be a lot more useful if it was against a backdrop of having been taught how to present this very same thing that we examine in our interviews. Yes, the motivational talk will not quite do that.
Yeah.
Motivational talk will not tell you how to write your CV.
No, it won't.
How to present yourself.
Not really. And even if it does, it's a one-off.
Yeah.
Just comes and goes.
Yes, when you're taught, there's interaction. Something will be taught, you can ask questions.
They'll be practical. things.
Yes, and you'll also be asked to present, meaning you will have had the practice of your CV being examined. So by the time you're actually out looking for a job, you have a very clear idea of what it is that you as an individual can present.
Yes.
Yes.
That's a very good point, because when you look at even interviews alone, there are various types of interviews.
Yes.
So you're invited for competence-based interview. What is it? It's a technical term. And now, so if you are a graduate and you don't know what this is, unless it has been taught, so unless it's placed as a unit before graduates go into, undergraduates go into the market, because there are different types of interviews technically, and the way you're interviewed is not the same. Yeah, could be oral interviews, ability interviews. You could have cognitive assessment interviews. You have psychometric tests. So what are they? If you are told you will be taken through a psychometric test, what is it? So those are very technical. And you are right in the way you're saying, because this is what is faced by students. So you are invited for an interview, and sometimes maybe organizations may not even give you exactly what you're coming to do. So you come for a whole day for interviews that you do not know what interviews you're going to go through. So you just come, the reception, go to that room. After 1 hour, go to another room. Another hour, you go to another room. You are actually undergoing through an assessment of sorts, and you don't know what they're looking for.
You're completely unprepared.
You are unprepared. But if you had the technical background or knowledge of those type of interviews, then you can research, and you even have more confidence of how you're approaching. Yeah.
You know why this thing concerns me as much as it does? Huh?
Yeah.
If we employ people through this process and they're in the system, you want to fast forward it when this individual is now in a position of leadership and they're the ones who are conducting interviews.
Yes.
What do you think they're going to do?
They'll become torture officers.
Yes.
What I was taken through is what I'm going to take you through.
Yes, exactly. And you'll realize that some of these questions, even to be an interviewer, it's not just like you're a manager, so just go and interview. It's wrong.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a
skill.
process. There's a skill that is required.
Exactly. You're not supposed to torture somebody. You see, to be invited for an interview is already a torture.
Yep.
You've already thought about it. You're wondering. You've gone to the salon. You've done your hair. You've come back. You've bought a whole suit. You've told your mother to check you how you maybe she has even dropped you at that place. So it's very stressful. It's a very stressful environment. And you arrive there and you're being harassed. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Yeah. So it's a serious problem. So the skills that an interviewer has is a whole other discussion that we need to have, because the way the questions are supposed to be asked should not intimidate. And you should not even know whether you've got that answer unless they are, recall answers like, where is the capital city of Uganda? It's either Kampala or you're failed, you see. Unless there are direct questions like that, you should even not look like, it shouldn't even look like you can just say, maybe I've not answered it, properly. But it shouldn't really torture someone.
One of the questions that were typical in government jobs,
Good.
government jobs, they will ask you, who is the PS in the Ministry of Mining? First of all, you ask,
Which is the Ministry of Mining?
Do we have such a ministry?
Is this a trick question?
Yes.
None of the above.
So you are completely lost. And by the way, it's an examinable question and they're marking you for it.
Yes.
Okay? So with time you ask, okay, what has this? I've come for an interview that's supposed to determine my being promoted. Yes. What has my knowing the PS in the Ministry of Mining got to do with this? And yet, it was important.
Yeah.
Now, if I look at our universities, one of the things I love about them is their versatility. Because many of them are actually tuned into the demands of the society. I know there are courses that, let's say 5 years ago, were not being taught. Right now, they're being taught.
Yes.
So that is why, with that knowledge, the suggestion that they can be approached to have this understanding of the need, because you don't really prepare these people well enough for the job market.
Exactly.
Nicholas, there's a question a young gentleman is asking, and he then was given a piece of advice to have someone pose as a job seeker, or rather an employer, and called one of his referees. And his referees, unfortunately, gave him a very poor scoring. But he just wanted to see what his referees would actually say in the event that a potential employer would call. Would you advise such a thing, kind of like a practice run, to see what your referees are actually saying about you?
This is what? Live practice.
Yes.
Wow.
So you actually want to test.
I say, Eric, now you
with a live
will
interview.
Pose as a referee. You will pose as an employer.
Okay.
You will call Nicholas.
Okay.
And you will say,
I
am asking about Ndu.
I get it.
And then Nicholas gives me a very poor review.
So you know.
So now you know, okay, this is what my referees are actually saying about me.
Now, in terms of referees, first as a job applicant, when you place a referee, there must be a purpose of why you have put that person. Some people put, very senior people, cabinet secretary. You put very serious names so that people can pass your CV. It doesn't work like that. Okay, especially in private sector, it doesn't really work like that. You have to put a name of a referee who can talk about your strength in a particular skill set. Who can say, I can confirm that this gentleman did ABCD where I was working or in an organization I was in, and they did it very well with high integrity, all those things. So you have to know, who are you putting on on that, and you put it variants so that you don't put similar. You put whether it's and if it is if you want to be a teacher, for example, then you put referees who have seen you teaching, who can confirm your your teaching ability.
Or a parent.
Yeah. A parent, it's normally not recommended that you put a relative.
No, not your parent.
Yeah.
But a parent of a student that you've taught.
That's if you
One
would
could
know
come and
you.
say,
That's okay. That's okay.
Or a student.
Because
then?
that's from a professional point of view.
A former student.
A former student of yours?
Yes.
Yes, depending to the job you're applying. Again, that's why the job that you're applying is very important in terms of, so you don't just use the same referees in all the jobs that you apply. So that if they are called, they can confirm that, wow, the integrity of that person is good. He's hardworking, he completed his university here, because possibly as a fresh graduate, maybe you have your career master or teacher who can be your referee. But as you go into start gaining experience, you start having colleagues whom you work with in the profession that you are focused. So you will be required to put some referees, but make sure the referees are not just anybody. Yeah. Sometimes it's good to alert them that I have put your name as my CV, in my CV as my referee. I liked the way you coached me in ABCD, and we had a good working relationship. So I believe that you can be a good reference. You see, then the person will feel confident that I can.
Then they can talk about
person,
you.
yeah.
Let's take a break at this point, Nicholas, and if you don't mind, I think this conversation even opens up to a lot of our audiences. There are those who are listening to us who are looking for employees. And there will be interviewers. Yeah. I'm sure they would also like to know, what should I be looking out for in a CV when I'm shortlisting? What should I be, kind of questions should I be asking? What kind of responses should I be looking out for? And then there are those who are looking for jobs, and they also would like to know very many things. So just stay with us. Let's actually talk about this conversation. It's about jobs, application for jobs, looking for employees, looking for talent in your organization. Nicholas Siwatom is the Chief Talent Officer at Standard Group PLC. He is an experienced HR practitioner. So nowadays you don't call yourselves human resource manager. It's talent. Yes. And there's a reason for that, and you'll tell us that reason as well. We're talking about jobs.standardmedia.co.ke. This is the gateway to your next career breakthrough. And also we're looking at the jobs environment. Those who are looking for talent and those who believe that they are talent that's being looked for and they're looking for opportunities. What is it that's expected of all these people? So let's just sort of flip the side to the other side, where you are an employer, you have identified need. Sometimes you actually don't even know what kind of qualifications should I be looking out for beyond the basics. If it's a marketing job, then you have the basic academic qualifications. Then what else do you look out for? When people apply for these jobs, what should you be advertising in this? What's important to put in the job advert? What's important to look out for as you begin receiving CVs and application letters and shortlisting? What's important?
Okay. Thank you, Eric. First, as an employer, the recruitment process is an expensive process. So someone leaves and you wonder, so how do we fill this position? There are so many people with CVs, relatives, friends, neighbors who have children who have finished school. First, you have to look at what level of this job. What level is it? Is it an entry job? You need some experience, or you don't? So, what we are saying as standard jobs is, we can cut that time for you instead of you placing an advertisement and waiting for, certain period of time for people to apply. If there are general entry jobs that target the young people, you can actually come to us. We will be able to give you a long list of suitable applicants depending to your requirements.
Okay.
And you can be able to then shortlist from there. Or we can give you a short list of the requirements that you have. So that makes your recruitment process, very
easier.
Very quick. But if you want to go the long route and you want to reach a bigger audience, then you can place an ad with us. We receive over 10,000 views on a daily basis on the site. We also will place on our standard newspaper, on our radio stations, on our TV, depending to the package that you decide to take. And then once the period is over, we can then get get you the CVs, or the applicants can apply direct to your website. Then you manage all the CVs that come there. So it's quite, we remove a lot of headache for you. And our target actually is, we want to target the, fresh graduates, the youth, and also SMEs. These SMEs that do not have, a fully fledged human resource department with, all the recruiters there. You just have basically you have one person, and you quickly need to get some salespeople or customer service people with degrees or diploma or whatever experience that you're looking for. Then, this process can make it quite fast for you.
And how are you building this database of people that you could essentially give to a prospective employer?
Yeah.
Is it people who are coming onto standard jobs and clicking or applying, and so then you keep their information for later? Or how does that work?
Exactly. So once you subscribe, your profile is maintained, and your minimum, your education, your experience, if any, you put there. So we can actually harvest that.
Okay.
And also upload your CV into the site. So apart from subscription, just the fact that your CV is there also gives you an opportunity in future in case there's an employer who is interested in someone with a similar qualification. And it could be any job, a cook, a carpenter, we are targeting, people qualified from the TVET, somebody has finished Form 4, has done electrical course, a diploma course, a certificate course, something like that. We can be able to do. But in terms of what employers want, employers employ people to, do some duties. So they describe the kind of person they want. We can assist in terms of advising on, if we understand your need, what kind of a person do you want? What do you want the person to do? We can redraft the job description for you and the ad, and also ensure that it is placed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a lot of folks, Nicholas, feel that some of these platforms, that they already come with jobs that have been filled, and we're just basically fulfilling righteousness by putting them on the platform. Is that the case?
I don't know whether anybody would want to just waste his time but just placing there. I believe that when people advertise, when organizations advertise, they want to reach a bigger pool. And they don't want to get somebody who will not fit the job. They want basically to solve their problem. They want somebody who can do customer service. They want somebody who can do data entry. They want somebody who can do the job and do it well. Nobody wants to bring somebody who will never do the job. Because if it's your personal business, you want somebody who can do it. If you're looking for somebody, for example, a mechanic to do your car, you can't just bring somebody who is not a good mechanic, and he's not a good mechanic to do your car, because you don't have the headache. It's an accident can happen because you'll not do. So you want to get the best person at the best price that you can afford to do that. So unless I would be interested to find out people who just take for the sake of, hire a person for the sake of hiring. But,
it's linked to this whole thing of that, that you must know somebody to be able to get a job, right? And so people who are in the hiring sector then already have their people. So I'm hiring, and I know CT's already lined up for me, his 3 cousins and nephew. So I know, okay, I'm gonna select.
Why have you not included my nieces as well?
Well, that's just, the cousins could be women. That's the problem. So I already have those on board. So, I have to be transparent as the recruiter and put it out in the public that I have actually that I have publicized this opportunity. Meanwhile, I already know what I'm doing. So the two come hand in hand, and it's a notion that has stuck hard and fast in the minds of many people. That number one, you already know who you're going to hire because somebody knows somebody, but you're just sanitizing the process by making it public. But you already know who it is that you're hiring, and so it stops actually a lot of people, especially in the young cadre of society. Stops them from applying because they'll say, well, you know what, these folks have already predetermined who they're going to hire.
Exactly. I think it comes from the notion that one, it's good to do networking, and we recommend that it's good to have a good network. A rich network is your net worth in terms of looking for jobs. For example, if I know 10 people who can have the opportunity to employ, and I can send a CV to these people, I have a bigger chance of getting that job. So it's important for job seekers to create a network. Very important. That may also be seen as you have to know somebody, but if you don't have a network, first, you will not be able to know where the jobs are. Yeah, because if you have a network, then people will tell you, by the way, I saw a job being advertised at this place. Can you try? Or I know somebody in this place and they have advertised a certain job. Can you try? And that network does not have to be, people It could be an organization. So if an organization applies, and here I'm talking about maybe private organizations who are really looking for the right person to do the right job. So you can actually make a call to that organization, research that organization, find out who is in that organization, what type of people are there, what type of job is open. Is that position, was somebody fired? Is it a new job? What is required in that job? What must I do? And if you know somebody in that organization, you can talk to that person and he can explain to you, in this organization, this is what happens. It is getting people jobs. That type of network.
There's an underlying issue here that we must address. One of the reasons why parents sacrifice everything they have to get their children to go to school, high school, tertiary, university, is because we still believe that a university education or a post-secondary school education will enable you to get a good job. So it isn't just for you to get a job. That job is, what is implicit is that it will help alleviate the circumstances of the family or even the community. It's that understanding. That's one.
Yes.
So even people who are in positions who are already employed, they are already under pressure from within their own communities to ensure that other people who have gone up as they did are able to get jobs. So it reduces the pressure they have to look after these other people. That's one.
Exactly.
And then there's the other reality. There are jobs where personal recommendations are even more important than the CV.
True.
Because somebody wants to know, who knows this person?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Given the responsibility you want to place on this person, okay, we've seen the CV, but who else knows this person?
Exactly.
And at that point, the CV then the referees become important because if your referee doesn't meet the master, nobody's going to talk to you.
Yes.
And if they look and say, okay, this is the person who can give us the sort of information that we want, then the referee then becomes crucial.
Exactly.
And there are jobs which, even as they advertise, you correctly say, the truth of the matter is they already have a fairly clear idea who they want because the people they want have been headhunted.
Yeah.
It's just a reality of the job market. But I think when you're referring to people who are just entering the job market and they need to know what, those who've been employed already understand the lay of the land.
Yes.
And the net worth, the networking, they already have those. They aren't as disadvantaged as those who are just beginning to enter the job market. They are the ones who are in peril.
Exactly.
And we cannot run away from the fact that they will look for a relative, dead or alive, who has the sort of connections who will enable them to at least give them that hope.
Yeah.
It's just a reality of the situation we have.
Exactly. That is very true. And so you have to build that network.
Yes.
Whether it's somebody from you have known. And what I always say, it's not a sin to know somebody.
No.
Yeah, it's not a sin. There's no problem in terms of using the contacts that you have to apply for a job and be interviewed.
You'd even encourage it.
For example, you see, what matters is we are trying to get the right person for this job.
Right.
So would you just say, just because it was referred by Ndu, don't
take it
shortlist?
because we know her.
What you will do is take that person through the minimum requirements. That is, if they meet the job, then they are taken through.
I think the misconception, though, that for a lot of people is that because I know Nicholas,
I will get it.
I will get the job,
That's where the problem
regardless
is.
of whether I am qualified or not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I know him, so
Exactly.
then he's just going to push me up through the front of the
Exactly.
line.
Yeah.
So
And there are
that's the
people
misconception,
who have done that just because they feel like they were referred by somebody. They don't put even effort in terms of the interview process. You see, and they fail miserably.
Nicholas, I know of organizations
Yes.
that actually have it as a policy.
Yes.
If some bigwig asks for their person,
Yes.
they are informed they must have the following qualifications. And they'll tell you, we will shortlist that person because you have requested. But they have to pass to pass the interview.
Yeah.
We will shortlist them.
Yes.
The guarantee is that if they meet the basic minimum qualifications, we'll
shortlist them for you.
From that point on,
Let them
there's no direct
They swing.
employment. They are going to have to pass the interview.
yeah.
In fact, the panelists don't know who is who.
Yeah.
So they just interview
Yes.
you like everybody else. But the mindset of the applicant Scam knowing I've gotten that job.
Yeah, it's mine.
That's the problem. But you need to pass, because unless it is I don't know what type of a job, but if it is a private sector, the performance is required. You must meet certain criteria. Even if you join, you will be very frustrated.
Yeah.
You will be very frustrated. You will be fired within your probation. You will not be able to.
Nicholas, even when you go
exceed.
through agencies that are supposed to be experts in this field,
Yes.
you will still find that they have a bias, that they will have presented you with people who they feel,
Yeah, they feel these ones are better.
and usually it's not necessarily negative.
Yes, exactly.
They know those people, and they have a fairly clear idea what those people can do.
That's true.
You see?
Yeah.
There's the other area, Nicholas, of how much a job should pay.
Okay.
And over time, it comes out like, this is standard practice. So if somebody, for example, is working as an engineer in this organization, this is how much engineers earn. And organization A, B, C, we average and say engineers are basically earning this much. Journalists are earning this much. TV news anchors are earning this much. Producers, cameramen are earning this much. Editors are earning this much. So that becomes like a sort of industry practice. And then COVID happens. And what do you see? Now there's an adjustment of this. So you start hearing people saying, people used to earn X amount of money for this kind of job, but now the employer is going for the cheaper ones in the market. What's wrong with that? Is that okay? Is who's losing out here?
Yeah. Okay. One, it's not okay. And about pay is about what you're able to pay. Yeah. You can't pay what you can't pay as an employer. So you start to place yourself in the market. For example, you have an understanding of, in this industry, the highest paid person for this type of role earns what? Let's say 100,000. So if the highest paid person is earning 100,000, then you say, where do I want to place myself? Do I want to compete with the organization that hires and pays the best? If you want to compete with that organization, pay 100,000 or even more. If you want to pay 50% of what the best organization is paying, then you pay 50,000. So one, there has to be your own policy as an organization of where you want to place your remuneration. You will realize that most organizations, you don't want to be the most attractive. If you are the most attractive, few organizations want to be the most attractive unless they are really at it, because you will end up keeping even people who are not performers, and people will be you will not be able to manage. So people want to be at about 75th percentile. So you want to be 75th, or if you are really top-notch organization, then you
go for the very best.
Yeah, you go for the very best. You say, who is paying the best accountant in the industry? I want to be the one paying the highest for an accountant, and you offer that pay. Yeah, so you become very competitive. Or you say you want to do 75th percentile or 50th percentile. Now, depending to your ability, because this costs money to maintain your staff. So what can you pay sustainably? Yeah, if you put your markup. So that is what drives now. So where you are, where you've put yourself with the 50th percentile, you start doing your grading structure from there and say, so the entry person will earn this, most experienced will earn this. So there's a growth path of that pay on an annual basis. Yeah, different cadres. So that's how we arrive at. Generally, that is how we arrive at that. Because if you are also paying very low, then you hire somebody, they resign.
Gone.
You hire, they resign.
You keep losing them.
You keep losing them.
Yeah.
So you have to start making sure that you are competitive. Not to a level that people will be here until they are 70, but to a level that you can somebody can grow. You see, you can retain
them for some time.
For a good length
Mr.
of time.
Siwatom, why are you referring to me? Because I'm heading in that direction. I'm still far from it, but that's the direction I'm heading. Let me ask a serious question.
Yes.
Even as you talked about remuneration and it being competitive, but there's something that I feel sometimes. We talk about employment, but we often don't talk enough about letting people go.
Yes.
Because when you're employed, at some point, your job will come to an end.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, there is the process of preparing people for a time when the jobs come to an end. I'm new to media, and one of the things that I've noticed in the short time I've been here, the turnover of employees in the media is really high. Now, even as we talk about all these things, should we not maybe devote a little time to getting to understand what it is that can be done so that people can be prepared for a time. Because there are times when people leave, but there are times when because this is a business, you are not able to sustain the rate of employment you have, and people will be let go of. Just the process of getting people to know that this is what could be done. Because in as much as we want people to be prepared for getting a job, we need to have them also prepared for when the job comes to an end.
It's a mentality that we have as a country. When you get a job, you are told, fanya kazi upate pension mzuri. So what does that tell you? You have to be there until you retire. And you leave your job and everybody is shocked.
Yeah.
What's happening with you? Ati nimewacha kazi nataka kufanya biashara. People are wondering what's wrong with you. So the perceptions in the society cannot allow you to just leave a job. Yeah. And then also, even the employers, there's a gap on your CV. You asked so many questions. Why is it that there was a gap in your CV?
5 years, where were you?
When you say I was trying a business and it didn't work, people don't take it seriously.
Yep.
Yeah, but I think we need to be a bit more relaxed on that and really understand that it's also good to give people an opportunity to go out, try something. If it works, they become employers. If it doesn't work, they can come back to the job market and get a job. They are now more experienced. They now appreciate the job better, and they understand what a business goes through to survive. So they become even better employees. But the way the society is, you just have to be not even move several times in a job. The turnover must be. You must stick in a place for some time for you to look like you're a good employee. You see. So there's this.
And then there's also the pressure then on the employer to keep employees for a while.
Yes.
Because when people start leaving in droves, then there's something wrong. There must be something happening.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
how then, as an employer, do you balance that? Maybe you're getting to a point where, yes, your percentile, people have outgrown, people have gotten to a point where they need to fly away, and you're just letting them fly away.
Yeah. It is... it's an organization's policy. There are organizations that develop you to grow and fly away. You see, basically, they have no problem you getting a better position elsewhere so that we can grow other people. That is the key thing that that organization needs to do. Build people to fly. But there are those who will not want to build you in case you go. They don't want to. They don't want to give you good, training and also job opportunities to learn more, because if you do, it looks like you will leave and you're a very good employee. So I better just keep you there.
Stay here for a while.
Yes. So I just give you additional salary and just maintain you there. But if you find, that is why you have to research an organization and understand how they treat their people.
Okay.
Yeah. And what is it what you want?
Nicholas, we want to thank you very much for joining us. We'll have you again.
Yes.
And again and again to discuss these very, very important matters. Nicholas Siwatom is the Chief Talent Officer, Standard Group PLC. Remember, jobs.standardmedia.co.ke.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.